Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks so much for coming by today. It's that time of the week. It's time for the weekly reading update. Yeah, so let's just hop right in. We're going to jump right in to what all I got into this week. And yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to talk briefly about the picture books that I read this week. I did read a lot of my picture books for the Picture This Readathon, and I had a really good time reading these this week. I read this one. This was Little People, Big Dreams, Frida Kahlo. This is written by Isabel Sanchez-Vegada, illustrated by G. Fun Ang. And this is a lovely little, story about Frida's life and how she got into painting. It's just, I don't know, it's pretty lovely, actually. It was really wonderful. I read She Made a Monster, How Mary Shelley Created Frankenstein. This is by Lynn Fulton, illustrated by Felicita Sala. This is a gorgeous book. I love the illustrations of this one. It's a mood, you know what I mean? And it just talks a little bit about Mary Shelley and how she got inspired to write Frankenstein. And I love that. You see kind of the outline of the Frankenstein monster in the back. It's really, really good. I read Dilly Duckling. This is by Claire Friedman and Jane Chapman, and this was further than one of the prompts was just to read some fun things. So that was cute, of course. I did read again Unbound, The Life and Art of Judith Scott, and this is by Joyce Scott with Bree Spengler and Melissa Sweet, art by Melissa Sweet, and this is documenting the life of artist Judith Scott, who was a woman with Down syndrome, and it tells about her life and her story and how she got into art. It's a wonderful book. I cry every time I read it, but it's really wonderful. I read Journey. I say read, but this actually is a book with no words at all. This is by Aaron Becker. It is told purely through just the visuals of the story. Can you hear? This was one of my son's books. It's wonderful. I read We Came to America by Faith Ringgold, and I love Faith Ringgold books, especially her children's books, and she just documents how some people come to America from, of course, there were some people that are already here, and then how some people came over that were taken from their homes, and then how some people immigrated. It's just really good. One of my little silly fun books was How to Catch a Monster. This one is just a lot of fun. This is by Adam Wallace and Andy Elkerton, and it follows a little kid as he's trying to catch a monster. And another beautiful book. This is just a beautifully illustrated book. This is The Man Made of Stars by Matt Clark, illustrated by Lisa Evans. It has this softness to the illustrations. It's just a delight. And then these are some little absolutely silly little poems. How Pleasant to Know Mr. Lear, nonsense poems by Edward Lear. There's about 4 or 5 little poems in here, and they're definitely silly and nonsensical. So that was fun. So picture this. It's a great little readathon. Yeah, we're at read event and focusing on picture books and getting to know illustrators and all kinds of good stuff. So I had a fun time with that. Of course, that is hosted by Shelley from Shelley Swearingen and Spread Book Joy. So yay! So I did finish Picture This at least. Okay, so what else did I get into? I talked about picture books. Okay, so I listened to the audiobook for Bad Girls by Camila Sosa Villada, and this was really excellent. This is basically a sort of memoir style book, and documenting these lives of transgender people in this. Was this in Argentina? I forgot where it was set now. I want to say it's Argentina, but I could possibly be wrong. No, I forgot to look that up. But it just, it talks about, it's really about found family, the dangers of living as a transgendered person, the violence that can happen, murder. It definitely gets a bit dark in places, but it is, it's the reality for a lot of transgender people, unfortunately. And it's just a nice read to get a perspective from someone else, right? And I would recommend it. It was really good. And then Hound by Ken Greenhall. I loved this. Like, I really, really did. I didn't really know quite what to expect, because it's, this dog, but yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved it. So this is now my third book by Ken Greenhall, and I think I can now say he is a favorite author for me. I want to read everything out there. I need it. I want it. I need it. I think Elizabeth is still my favorite, and then probably Hellhound, and then probably Chalgrave. But I enjoyed them all. So Hellhound, we're basically following this dog whose name is Baxter, and he is he's a different kind of little dog. He's a different kind of dog. And what's so interesting is you get from his perspective also, and he's got murderous kind of murderous intentions, and we see him as things happen to people that are taking care of him, and has these kind of passed from people to people, because but then the most recent family that he has been given to has this little boy who maybe is kind of equal to Baxter in the sort of sinister nature, and it become this sort of, I don't want to say battle of the wits, but it really is, I don't know, they're like peas in a pod as far as like their behavior. It's very interesting. The kid in this book, what was his name, Carl, he was kind of like a young teenager, and boy, he was messed up, man. I think Ken Greenhall could just write the most, the kid characters that he writes, so Elizabeth, and then the little girl in Chalgrave, I can't remember her name now, but they are always a little off-putting, a little upsetting. There's a little, that like gives you like that little wibbly wobbly feeling, and the way you're like, something ain't right here, and it was the same with this kid too. It was, yeah, it's really good. I really loved this book. Yes. So this was the book club pick for Kelly, from Kelly Hooked on Books' From Hell Book Club. And of course, I also used it for Old School April prompt to read an Animal Attack book. I think I also forgot to mention last week that I did read The Birds by Daphne du Maurier, which is a short story, which, the Hitchcock movie is based off of. I've seen the Hitchcock movie just a million times. I love it. And I really loved this story. It's different from the book in that the characters that we follow is totally different from the book. But like the bird vibes, totally the book are totally in the movie also. So basically, you're following this kind of family perspective in the book. I've got a husband and wife and a couple kids as they're in this little town, and birds start going crazy. And we pretty much just follow this one family's perspective as they're dealing with it. But it is definitely creepy about how it's like this slow inundation of these birds, and then it gets violent, and people are dying all over the place. It was really good. It was really good. I think I forgot to talk about that last week. So, yeah. I listened to the audiobook for Rosemary's Baby by Levin. This is a reread for me, but I'm trying to get some bonus points, you know what I'm saying, from a team, Silver Snakes. So I squeezed in a couple of host recommendations. This one, I think, was also recommended by Kelly from Kelly Hooked on Books as a host recommendation, and I knew I liked this book, but I pulled it up on audio this time, and there is I don't know if there's more versions out there, but I listened to one where actually Mia Farrow herself narrates it, and whoa, it was really good. I really enjoyed hearing from her perspective, just her voice, because how Mia Farrow sounds, right, as she's reading, and yeah, I love this book. I love this book. I really do, and I think I maybe even liked it better on a reread. Yeah, it was good. So if you don't know what Rosemary's Baby is about, we're following a young couple in New York City as they move into this sort of prestigious sort of apartment building, and well, they get a little bit more than they bargained for, as well, possibly they get intertwined into a Satanist cult, and yeah, there's some wacky neighbors, and yeah, it's just good. It's just really good. It's so good. So yeah, read that. Bonus points, baby. And I pulled up a short book called The Turtle Boy by Keelan Patrick Burke. This is one of my 23 for 23 books for this year, and actually I'm doing 23 ebooks because my ebooks are so like out of sight, out of mind. So I picked 23 ebooks to read this year, and I was falling a little behind. I said, you know what, let me try to get one of these out. And so yeah, this one is a nice short one, so it worked really well, and it was really good too. This is the first time I've read Keelan Patrick Burke, and I know a lot of people really like his stuff. So finally read one, and it was good. It's we're following this little kid, and he and a buddy are they go to this kind of like pond area in their town. They're not supposed to go there, but they're kids and they go anyway, and they see this other weird kid there, and he's like doing something weird. We'll just say that he's doing something really weird, and then like he just kind of disappears, and they go tell their parents, and of course they don't believe them because they're adults and they never believe what kids say, and the story kind of goes from there, and it really turns into this thrillery kind of aspect of a mystery, really. There's some twists and turns that happen, and yeah, I really liked it. It's nice, short and sweet, but yeah, it was really good. What else can I say about it? I don't know. I liked it. It's a short one, so I don't want to say too much more because I'll spoil it. So then I had a audiobook hold come in from my library. I've been waiting for this one for several weeks. It was my book club pick for my little book club that I run with some friends of mine, and we had chosen The Silent Patient by Michaelides. And this one was all the rage when it came out, and I think I tried to read it once, and I think I ended up DNFing it. I wasn't really super interested in reading it, honestly. But I was like, all right, it's the book club, so let me read it. And yeah, it was okay for me. I think it was a very 3-star sort of book. Like it was fine, but it didn't like, knock my socks off. Basically you have this woman who, right in the beginning of the book, she is basically accused of murdering her husband, and after the cops go and arrest her and everything, she like stops speaking, hence the silent patient, right? And so she's in this sort of mental institution, and there's this like psychiatrist guy who's like, I bet I can make her talk. So he like goes to this institution, gets hired over there, and gets kind of wrapped up in this woman's story, and blah 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 blah, twists and turns, and yada yada yada. It goes from there as we figure out what actually happened on that day, right? Did she kill her husband or not? Dun dun dun. And it was interesting. I really did not like the dude character, this psychiatrist guy, who he really just irked me throughout the most of this book, and so like like that kind of dampened my enjoyment of it. Really, even the main lady I don't like, because even though she's silent in this sort of present day time period, we do get some her voice as through sort of journal entries that were written kind of leading up to the night and everything like that. So you do kind of hear her voice, but even she was like kind of annoying. So I don't know. A lot of people have already read this one, so what did you think about it? I don't know. It was very just for me, And then I finished one more thing. I know. I'm squeezing in points, baby. Old school April. It's a competitive event, okay? And The Elementals by Michael McDowell, and I loved it. I loved it so much. So much. And this was a host rec. I believe this was Michelle from Michelle's Melancholia's host rec. Say that 10 times fast. And it was amazing. So I read, finished out Blackwater earlier in the month by Michael McDowell. Loved it. And so I'm like, I need some more Michael McDowell in my life. And so you know what? I'm gonna do the elementals. Yes, I am. And so I did listen to the audiobook, and yeah, I really loved it. I really did. It reminds me of Blackwater in a sense because it is about this really southern family, and it takes place in Alabama again, and we're following this family right at the beginning of the book. This sort of kind of matriarchal woman dies, and we're at a funeral, and then we meet the aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters. We meet the extended family as they're here for the funeral, and it's after the funeral, so they wanted to go to this kind of a vacation spot that they have, which is on the coast, and it's a series of these 3 kind of houses that they own on the coast, and but one of which has just been kind of left it's just been left there basically, and no one lives there, no one goes in, and the dunes are kind of taking it over, and so as they go to this place this time around, even though it's been some years since they've been there, there's something about that 3rd house, and some absolutely genuinely creepy imagery in this book that it made the little hairs stand up. It was creepy and spooky. Even though it's a slow build, it takes a little while to get there because you really are digging into this family and the dynamics of this family. Once the spookiness gets in though, woo, it is really good. Oh my god, I loved it so much. So Michael McDowell, I'm a fan. Yeah. All right, that's a brief little thing about what I finished. I've got one thing in progress. I am still reading Head Like Hole. My physical reading this week, I didn't do a whole lot. I feel like I should have finished this book already, but whatever, it is what it is. So we'll see. I think I'm maybe about 60-ish% or so. I don't have that much left, but man, it's just taking me a little while to get through. And it's not the story at all. I'm very much into the story. It's just a timing thing for this week. I've not had a lot of sort of physical, with my eyeball reading this week, because I've also been spending some time, watching movies and shows and stuff too. So yeah. Maybe I'll finish up this weekend. I'd like to at least finish that book this weekend so I can kind of start May fresh. I've got tons of books that were on my April TBR that I will not be getting to, which is fine. I don't ever, I never stress any of that stuff. But anyway, Head Like Hole, I'm really enjoying it. Really interesting story, but once I finish it, I'll talk more about it. I think that's about it. Like I said, I've been watching some things. Last night I watched My Own Private Idaho. I've not watched this movie in years and years, and I watched this for the bonus prompt of watch something that had features someone that you used to have a crush on, back in the day, and I had a crush on both River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves back in the day. I mean, let's face it, I still have a crush on Keanu Reeves today. But My Own Private Idaho, oh my god, they are both really wonderful in this movie. And I miss River Phoenix. That was really good. I fell down an old cartoon rabbit hole one day, and I watched an episode of Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake. I was Strawberry Shortcake obsessed back in the day. I had a Strawberry Shortcake bike. I had the bedding, the bed sheets, and everything. The play set, the little gazebo. I had it all. I loved me some Strawberry Shortcake. So I watched the Strawberry Shortcake. I watched. What else did I watch? I can't remember all the cartoons I watch now. I watched Super Mario Brothers. I watched another episode of Goosebumps. I watched an episode of Pete and Pete. I loved Pete and Pete by the day, even though I didn't watch it too often because we didn't have cable, didn't have Nickelodeon. But Pete and Pete was always, it's just funny. It's just silly. Yeah. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. But anyway. So yeah, that's my week. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a really good time with Old School April. And of course, this weekend is going to be wrapped up, so it'll be sad to see it go. But yeah, oh, I colored a coloring page of strawberry shortcake. I think that's it. Yeah, so tell me about your week, what you've been reading, what you've been watching, whatever. Let me know. Oh, I want to know all about it. Hope that you're doing well, as always. I appreciate your time. And till next time.